So last night, Francis Ngannou got KO'd in a devastating fashion by Anthony Joshua. It was actually kind of sad to watch because it looked like Francis didn't belong in there at all. Compared to the performance he had against Tyson Fury, where a lot of people arguably said he won, this actually looked like it was his first boxing match ever. And Anthony Joshua just looked so bloody good. He was so fast, he was so strong, he was so powerful. In the first round, he got one knockdown. Second round, knockdown, stood Francis back up, another punch. Francis is out cold. And this is terrible for Francis in a boxing perspective because I don't think he's ever going to get another shot at becoming like a legitimate world champion boxer. Like he's 37 years old, he's lost two in a row. Maybe he does one more boxing match against maybe like best case scenario Deontay Wilder. But at this point, I think he's done with boxing. He's got to go back to MMA. If he doesn't, just retire. You know what I mean? Because he's got, based on these last two fights, he's made about 25 million. If he's good, he can probably live very comfortably on that. But all that aside, this worked out absolutely perfectly for Dana White. Dana White could not have dreamed of a better scenario or a better downfall for Francis Ngannou, because this whole situation just made him look like a friggin' genius. Back in October, everyone was like, "Oh, he fumbled the bag. You were wrong, Dana," and they were trashing Dana White. You know what I mean? But now this is absolutely perfect because, first of all, Francis Ngannou is probably done boxing. Like he's probably gonna get to box, maybe one more time, maybe a couple more out there, but his aura of invincibility is absolutely gone. You know what I mean? Like his aura of invincibility, his aura of being unable to be dropped, unable to be stopped, unable to be hurt, that's over, right? Because he was knocked out cold. And so the question is his chin still going to be there when he goes and fights? Because his next stop is MMA, right? He's going to the PFL. He's going to go fight that big problema guy, the big Brazilian guy who just beat Ryan Bader like, a week ago? So he's going to go fight that guy now. That guy's huge. So maybe Francis Ngannou is more skilled. I don't know. But the reality is that guy's gigantic. And so if Francis's chin is gone, he might have a problem even over there. And then his legacy is completely destroyed. Right? If he loses to that guy, and that guy very well could be the best in the world. We don't know. But if he loses to that guy, his aura is gone. The conversation of Ngannou could have ever beating John Jones or ever beating the heavyweight GOAT or any of these things, like that's over, right? So that's especially good for Dana White because of that. And the other side of it, too, is PFL's biggest star, Francis Ngannou, just lost in a devastating fashion. So the question of, does PFL have better fighters? Can PFL build something around Francis Ngannou? That's over, right? And sure, like Francis Ngannou, if he comes, fights in the PFL, maybe he beats this guy, big problema. If he beats him, right? Who else is there for him to fight in MMA, right? There's no other major contenders. Ryan Bader, he creams him. He'll knock him out in one punch probably. And then who else? Who else is in that heavyweight space? I heard there's a guy over at One Championship who, a lot of people are saying can kind of like give the heavyweights of the world a run for their money, but I have no idea, right? Nobody knows. And so for Dana White, this just proves that, it hasn't really been proven, but it proves from his perspective that the best fighters are in the UFC, right? Because when has John Jones ever been knocked out like that? When has John Jones ever been stopped like that, right? Has Tom Aspinall ever been knocked out like that? So that conversation of, oh, the best guy in the PFL could knock out, and it could be true, right? Like Francis Ngannou could still be that guy, right? But the aura of Francis Ngannou being that guy, it went down quite a bit. So for Dana White, like this couldn't have worked out any better because Francis is done boxing. Maybe if he secures a win over at the PFL and later in the year, maybe he could fight like Deontay Wilder or something like that. But this sort of, like I said, this road to the championship, this road to being a world champion boxer, this road to beating Tyson Fury, that's over, right? I don't see any scenario where Tyson Fury rematches Francis Ngannou. And the thing is, right? Like in that first fight, I felt like Francis, you know, he had such a background in MMA that he looked like an MMA fighter, right? Just kind of marching forward, walking through fire and trying to land something, right? Whereas in this fight he looked like a boxer, like he was moving like a boxer. But he looked like he was lost in there, trying to move like a boxer instead of moving like himself, the tank of a man that he is, just marching forward and trying to, KO Joshua or KO Fury. So yeah, there's no scenario right now where I don't see Francis, completely recovering from this. Um and you got to wonder, like, is this going to affect his ability to take a shot in the future? You know what I mean? Like, now that he's been cracked like that, now that he's been stopped like that, like we've never seen that before from Francis. We've never seen him get hit that hard and be put down, right? What we have seen is when people get cracked like that, when people get dropped like that, their performances following that usually aren't as good, right? And so now when he goes in to fight this guy in 4 ounce gloves, by the way, fight this big problema Brazilian guy who's ginormous, he's huge. When he gets hit by that, is his chin going to be the same? Is it going to be able to hold up? I don't know the answer to that question. And of course, I'm always going to be rooting for Francis. But it's just a question I have now. So Francis's time in boxing probably should come to an end. Maybe he does one more fight. Maybe he fights Deontay Wilder or something like that, rights the ship, whatever the case may be. But his time at the top is done. That aura of invincibility is gone. This couldn't have worked out better for Dana White. And the best guy that's on the PFL roster, or at least supposedly, just got flatlined. So it's very interesting. I hate watching these boxing matches. There is so little action for how long it takes. Like, the pay-per-view started at around 9 o'clock and it ended at 4 a.m. in Saudi Arabia. It's ridiculous. Anyway, if you've made it this far and you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, it helps with the YouTube algorithm, helps me grow the channel. Hit that like button too. And lastly, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you think it's over for Francis? Do you think the ride has come to an end? Thanks all for watching.